Babies, it's that time again. Oh yeah. We are in Acts 19. And in Acts 19, we have a few things going on. And overall, it sounds to me like a feasible historical account. I know there's a lot of people who question the authenticity of Acts, which I understand in parts. But this particular chapter, I think, sounds fairly straightforward, legitimate, as it shows, first off, Paul inquiring of people's baptism, and they said it was of John. And he goes, yeah, but John spoke of Jesus. And they were like, oh, okay, so they got baptized in Jesus. And Paul lays hands on them, and they speak in tongues and prophesy. So we have evidence of that in today's life. So I don't question that. But it just kind of shows that God is, once you accept his gift, then he immediately gives you evidence and ushers you into an entirely different spiritual experience, which is intended to create a foundation for the rest of your life. So there's that. And then what happens? Oh, then there's the account of people being healed just by being touched by the handkerchiefs that were touched by Paul, or that touched his body. Again, I don't have any real concern with that, even though it's odd, and we don't really see that type of a thing in the Gospels. To me, it aligns further with the miraculous, spiritual, life-changing kingdom of God that awaits all of us if we just simply believe him for our needs, and then he will meet them in miraculous ways. So if it's this anointed person touches this one thing, and you believe that God is working in that person, and that physical item then touches you, and you believe that God would want to show his compassion and love for you in the same way by you touching that same thing, I don't have a problem with that. It's sort of like I'm thinking in the Gospels where Jesus says, if there's any one thing that the two of you agree on, it'll be done for you in heaven, that type of a thing. So, no, I have no problem with that. In fact, I look forward to those types of miraculous occurrences to be happening in my own life and those who I encounter. So then you get these magicians and exorcists trying to duplicate what the apostles are doing, and one of these demons that is being addressed by the non-believers speaks to them directly and says, I know Jesus and I know Paul, but who are you? And then they attack them in some way and they run out of wherever they are, naked and abused. So the demons make mockery of them because they have no authority, because they're not working in the faith that God honors. That is, understanding that Jesus' death and resurrection made a way for us to have access to God's goodness, and when we activate that faith, He will give us evidence of it. You can't just hocus pocus it and think you're going to get the same result. So then we have Paul going into, I believe it's Ephesus, and addressing the idol-worshiping community there, namely in the form of Diana, and they have a different kind of experience there, which is interesting to me, which kind of reflects kind of an authenticity to me, to the recounting, and that is they kind of, this community of intellectual Greeks kind of just reason with the multitude, the mob, who are just wanting to bring an attack against Paul and the apostles, because what they're saying is challenging the order of things. And if they're demonstrating power, then there's going to be, they're going to sell less Diana idols. They're going to lose their livelihood, and their very way of life is being challenged by these simple acts of faith. So you have the mob sort of reacting viscerally against that threat, and then you have these Greek intellectuals saying, hey, these guys aren't causing you any particular harm. So if there's a concern about their social threat, then we can discuss it like we discuss all things in a reasonable way, bring it before a council, and if we find them guilty of something, then we can follow through on whatever the judgment is. And it just kind of ends there. But I thought it was interesting that, is similar to like when Pilate was face to face with Jesus, and he was like, I don't see that this person has done any harm. You deal with him, according to your own law. He's not doing anything that's challenging Rome. I kind of saw a similar thing in Acts. So I would just say, when we come across situations like that, be thankful and continue doing what we're doing, because there's going to be attacks. but we'll also come across people who will think twice about what they're doing and what the mob is doing, and seeing that what we're doing is not only not a threat, but there's a huge potential benefit to it, that being setting people free from their trauma and their troubles and giving them a reason to live.